5 News This Morning starts now.
A local family says their EBT benefits vanished overnight and they may not be alone. The warning from police and what you can do to protect your funds.
And we're seeing some showers and a few storms in eastern Oklahoma. Some of that's going to eventually make its way through the region. We'll talk about those rain chances coming up.
Plus, efforts continue in Texas to find those still missing after deadly floods. Volunteers from near and far are stepping up to help. We'll have those details. A live look outside in Fort Smith. Good morning to you there. 6:30.
Well, hey, good morning. Thanks so much for waking up with us here on 5 News. I feel like it's a great day outside so far. A little muggy, though, but I don't think you can wake up any day, and that's not going to be a thing right now.
Oh, I know. It's just hot right now. It's humid. If you thought you were going to have a good hair day, think again. And that's just going to be the pattern for like the next month or two.
I was going to say, until we see our first freeze, it's probably going to be muggy.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be warm. Today, not as warm. But on the trade-off, there's a little bit of rain out there. In northwest Arkansas, we're pretty quiet. 74 degrees in downtown Fayetteville. Dew points in the upper 60s. You see that sunrise. A lot of cloud cover. It'll be partly to mostly cloudy through much of the day today during those breaks of rain. And then when we do see rain, it could be pretty heavy at times. You see northwest Arkansas pretty quiet, maybe a stray shower or two. For the most part, a lot of it here is kind of west to east throughout the entire area of Sequoyah County and now moving through areas of LaFleur County. So you see that near the Poto area. Some lightning with these as well. You can see those lightning bolts popping up. Nothing severe right now, but again, just some heavy rain with this and maybe some gusty winds at times. For the most part, pretty quiet. Now, throughout the River Valley today, we're going to see, again, kind of intermittent chance of showers and storms as storms they'll pulsate. They'll basically pulse up in strength, and then they'll kind of diminish and kind of go back and forth throughout the afternoon hours. And I think later this evening, by about sunset, that'll taper off. Same with northwest Arkansas, maybe a little bit of a slower start to it just because of rain not there right now, but eventually will develop and then simmer off by sunset. But with that, again, later this afternoon, we could see a couple of stronger thunderstorms. So we're going to talk about that coming up in your full forecast. For now, we'll take a look at your traffic. We'll go along I-49 near the Bella Vista area. Good morning to you there. Again, traffic moving smoothly at 6:31 on this Tuesday. Nothing to report on the roads, but again, we'll have that complete forecast on those rain chances coming up in just a little bit. Joe and Tiffany.
Well, this morning, those recovery efforts, they're still underway in Texas after that deadly flash flooding, which swept through over the holiday weekend.
Yeah, more than 100 people are confirmed dead, including nearly 30 children from a sleepaway camp in Kerr County. Search crews are still looking for survivors. Vigils were held across Texas Monday to honor the lives that were lost in the flooding. At Camp Mystic in Kerr County, 27 campers and counselors were killed. Officials say 10 children and 1 counselor are still missing.
Search teams, including K-9 units and volunteers, are working around the clock. Meanwhile, parents from nearby Camp Waldemar were reunited with their children after a tense evacuation.
I had to wait a minute for them to hug their mom first. I'm kind of chopped liver, but ultimately when I did get the hugs, they were really sweet.
Well, the historic flooding has since led to criticism over early warning systems, which has sparked calls for state-funded sirens. FEMA is expected to arrive this week to assess the damage and speed up aid as recovery and relief efforts continue statewide.
Well, Sheepdog Impact Assistance in Rogers is gearing up to deploy to Texas.
Yeah, 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi joining us now with more on their work in the aftermath. Good morning.
Good morning. Sergeant Major Lance Nutt, CEO of Sheepdog Impact Assistance, tells me they already have a strong volunteer presence in Texas. Right now, team members are on the ground assessing damage and identifying needs so additional crews can step in where they're needed most. Now, Nutt says while they will not be assisting in search and recovery efforts, they will be assisting with supply deliveries to those impacted by the flooding. He adds the group will also provide behind-the-scenes support, including clearing roads and removing debris as needed to help first responders. The group will transition to cleanup efforts as things progress. Nutt says they don't wait to be asked to help, they just act.
Primary mission a lot of times has to do with chainsaws, where we go in and help clear trees and debris out of roads and driveways that can assist with first responders getting into areas so that they can make sure people are safe and being treated, but also allowing people to get back to their homes and begin to pick up the pieces and start life over again.
Sergeant Major Nutt says word on the ground is that their crews there are currently overwhelmed with people wanting to help. He says later this week, going into the weekend, they'll begin ramping up their operations to help people get back on their feet. Jacob Luthi, 5 News.
All right, thank you for that, Jacob. Well, a Navy SEAL and his team have been on the ground leading critical search and recovery efforts. Heroes for Humanity watched the Texas floods unfold. They say they quickly mobilized. Diving experts are on their team, and they found 2 people, a mother and child, trapped underwater.
I was able to dive down underneath some rubble and locate a mother and her child underneath a car that was submerged.
Well, the team has helped recover 17 people so far.
Well, local businesses across Arkansas are joining forces to send essential supplies to Texas. Ernie's Truck Repair in Roland is collecting new unopened donations like toiletries, baby items, and pet food. These supplies will be transported to families rebuilding after devastating floods. Community partners like Dallas Street Dental and Fort Smith have stepped up to support the effort as well.
We're looking for non-perishable food items that are not expired and just new items that are in unopened packages, clothing, new. We don't want to take a bunch of used stuff down there. Toiletries, tools like shovels, gloves, heavy-duty gloves, first aid kits, just things like that that would help with disaster relief, with cleanup and recovery.
As recovery continues in Texas, organizers ask everyone to keep victims in their thoughts and donate what they can.
Well, when news broke about the deadly flooding in Texas, many Arkansans likely thought back to a tragic night 15 years ago.
That's when flash floods killed 20 people at Albert Pike Campground in Umpire, Arkansas. Flash flooding hit the campground in the early hours of June 11, 2010. Sudden heavy rain caused the Little Missouri River to rise fast, killing 20 campers, including 7 children under 7. Since then, overnight camping has been banned at that site.
The state has added infrastructure around some waterways.
So what folks can do is ensure that you're weather aware. Check the weather early and often if you're going to visit out there, if you're going to camp near the waterways. Ensure you have weather apps on your phone and you get the alerts, and if there are flash flood watches, warnings, just pay heed and pay attention to those.
The Army Corps also has an app that tracks water levels and flooding forecasts that you can use before or during a camping trip.
Well, Congress passed a law last year to reopen Albert Pike for overnight camping, but campsites must be built outside the 100-year floodplain, and the Forest Service has 2 years to do it.
A Portsmouth family says their EBT benefits were stolen, leaving them with no way to buy groceries until next month.
And as 5 News reporter Kayla Davis found out, this family may not be the only target.
Abraham and Ashley Chargoy are the proud parents of 6 kids.
All beautiful and all growing every day. We try our best to provide and give them everything that we can.
The Chargoys rely on EBT benefits to help keep food on the table. Their benefits rolled in on July 5th this month, but then things took a turn.
We checked, and then the next morning after we woke up, that's when we tried to place an order, and it wouldn't go through, and that's when we went back to the app and realized it was empty.
All $1,300 was completely wiped from their account.
We called to make a report. The officer, he came and told us the day prior us calling that they had also received a call similar to very close transactions that popped up for us as well.
Eric Mitchell with the Fort Smith Police Department says police have gotten 9 reports like the Chargoys since the start of the year. And the Arkansas Department of Human Services says EBT benefits scams aren't just happening in Arkansas, but nationwide. Even so, DHS says they cannot reimburse the Chargoys.
According to the USDA website, a federal program to replace stolen benefits that started back in 2022 ended in December of last year. Now, if families using EBT funds are victims of theft, they may have to rely on local resources like the food pantry.
We try to educate our clients to change their PINs frequently, their PIN numbers that they use to access their EBT benefits, not to share those numbers with anyone.
The Chargoys say they will do what they can for as long as they can.
We have family and friends that can lend us a hand. Meanwhile, we either try and figure this out or have to wait till next month.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Kayla Davis, 5 News.
Well, public school superintendents from around Arkansas joined a Zoom on Monday, ready to learn what impacts federal budget cuts could have on area classrooms. There are concerns about Title I program spending, which provides support for lower-income families. As of now, school officials say they need more information before giving detailed comments, though some programs are already in place.
As far as like nutrition, that's governed under USDA, and USDA hadn't made any announcements at all about funding. So we anticipate those programs will maintain where they're at.
Well, he says that he expects more information about federal funds to come in the next few weeks.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with President Trump at the White House, praising his leadership and nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize. The visit follows joint U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. President Trump confirmed that his team is preparing to meet with Iranian officials and also voiced support for a possible ceasefire between Israel and Hamas.
We have scheduled Iran talks, and they want to talk. They took a big drubbing.
The president also announced 25% tariffs on Japanese and South Korean imports and reversed course on Ukraine, promising to send more weapons after a recent Pentagon delay.
And Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman has been discharged from the ICU and moved to a rehab facility just over 3 weeks after he and his wife were shot in their home. Hoffman was shot 9 times, approximately 90 minutes before Minnesota State Rep Melissa Hortman and her husband were shot and killed at their home. Hoffman's wife was previously released from the hospital.